So I remember the first time that I sat in front of a camera, like I'm doing right now, and I can clearly remember the amount of fear that I was feeling. My palms were sweating, my heart was pounding. It was nerve wracking. I was so nervous. I was so afraid because, I'm creating a video. I was creating a video, and I was afraid of what people will think, what people will say. Like, that fear? So that's what I want to talk to you about today. Fear, those fears that we all have, and how we can face those fears, how we should face those fears, how I face my fears, how I try not to let my fears hold me back from whatever I want to do. It could be creating videos again, like I'm doing right now. And just looking back at those days, I swear to you, it was so difficult to overcome that fear. Maybe you have been through something similar. I also remember the first time that I needed to try public speaking, and that was not easy either. Because again, you fear that you will mess up, that you will make a fool of yourself, that people will judge you, that people will laugh, that people will, come up with all these different ideas about you because you're publicly speaking or because you are trying something different. And that fear can be really overwhelming. It could be applying for a new job, which I guess many of us have done that at least on a few occasions, and there's always that fear. So, for me personally, I am a very fearful person. I have a lot of fears, all kinds of fears, but in a way, I guess I could say that I try not to let my fears hold me back or keep me from doing whatever I want. I feel comfortable facing those fears, but honestly, that has not been the case for all my life. I've had to learn how to deal with it. So going back to my example of talking to a camera like I'm doing right now, I guess what really pushes me not to get stuck in my fears is another fear. I would say it's actually kind of funny, but it's another fear that I have, and that is the fear of never growing, like getting stuck in my comfort zone, like living my entire life in this comfort zone where I feel comfortable. I'm not facing my fears. I'm not facing what could happen, what people will think. I also am afraid of it, and I guess I would say I'm more afraid of that than how afraid I am of facing any fears that I have. So in a way, if I could give you an initial tip, would be to identify why you want to do something. If you really feel like this is something I want to do, this is something that is going to help me grow, this is something that is going to make me a better person, help me reach my goals as a man or as a woman, whatever you have identified, like I need to take these steps so that I get to the place where I want to be, but you are afraid of taking action, you are afraid of taking those steps, feel yourself or allow yourself to feel more afraid of not taking action. I think that's a good way to think about it. Yes, the comfort zone is very comfortable, but it's also, you will never grow out of a comfort zone if you just stay there, if you don't take risks, if you are not willing to face those fears. And eventually, I guess I can tell you this from experience, because in the past I have let myself be held back by those fears, but there comes a time where you realize I have wasted so many days, so many years of my life not doing what I wanted to do just because I was afraid of what people will think, or will I look like a fool or whatever. If you recognize that those fears are not allowing you to move forward, it gets easier. And there comes a day when you just go, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I can do it. It's in me. If everybody else is doing it, why would I not be able to do it? So that's what has pushed me and has allowed me to face the fears initially. Now, once you face those fears, it's not like, well, I'm done. I faced my fears. Now I'm successful. No, there are other fears, the fear of failure, the fear of, not doing things right, the fear of maybe having made a wrong decision. That could also happen. But it goes back to the same thing. You gotta know what your goal is, where you want to be in your life, and really everything gets easier. You just feel this internal drive that pushes you forward. That's how I feel. That's how I felt every time I've decided to step out of my comfort zone. And then eventually, well, the next step I would say is practice. You have to practice, and not practice just to become an expert or to become a master in whatever you're trying to do, which would be a nice thing. But just there's a certain thing of practicing facing your fears. The more you face your fears, the more you face those things that make you feel so afraid, I guess the weaker they get. They lose their power over you, and they really do. It's that constant practice and constantly facing those things that it just makes it easier, and eventually you start losing that unnecessary weight, I would say, and it allows you to keep moving forward and forgetting about those fears. Eventually, I would say, with certain things or certain fears that I had in the past, nowadays I can control them much better, to the point that, I can deal with those things pretty much without palmy hands or sweaty hands. Sorry about that. So, sweaty hands, sweaty palms, without it. Even just, I remember, and let me tell you, this is crazy, but just a parenthesis. Many years ago, I was so afraid of just going to the counter. Let's say I was at the store, I was at a department store, and I wanted to ask for something. I just couldn't do it. I just, my social anxiety, and I guess this will be a topic for a future video, but my social anxiety would not allow me to approach anyone and just start talking like that or ask questions. Nowadays, that's not a problem at all, like at all. And thank God that it's not a problem, because it's very debilitating. But it was a matter of facing that fear and constantly facing those things, those circumstances, those situations, till you get much better at handling those things. So if I could end this video with a few recommendations, suggestions, tips, the first one would be not to let your fears win, because they are strong. They are going to try to win, and they are going to try to keep you in that comfort zone that is not going to allow you to grow. And the really sad thing is that it's you yourself, it's whatever is in your mind that is telling you not to do whatever you want to do, really. And you should not allow that dark side of your mind take over, but it's a personal decision. You have to make the decision to go after whatever you want, and little by little kill that negative voice that in your mind is telling you not to do it. Stay in your comfort zone. What good could you get out of it? There is a lot of good things that come out of it. Like it's life changing, really. Once you beat that negative voice inside your mind, all the doors open. There's a new perspective to life. So going back to my first recommendation is that, face the fears. You can do it. Face them, and you will win. I can tell you that. The next thing is, again, practice. Just go after it. Even if you fail, even if initially it's harder, even if you feel even more afraid after you have tried it a few times, that doesn't mean that you have lost. That doesn't mean that you should stop. That only means that you should keep trying and keep trying harder, or find new ways to try. Perhaps smaller steps could help as well, but never tell yourself that you have lost, because again, that would be admitting defeat to fears. So that's not good. Another thing is, talk about it. I mean, I'm talking about it right now. I'm being very honest about how afraid I am of so many things. Like, you have no idea. And I cannot say that I have faced all my fears, really, because I'm a bundle of fears that I eventually, I guess I will face all of them. But right now, I feel comfortable with the ones that I have defeated. So maybe talking about it, being honest, tell a good friend, someone you trust, like, hey, I really want to do this, I want to try this, but I'm afraid of what could happen, I'm afraid of what people will think, I'm afraid of whatever. You have your reasons. Just talk to someone. Even you can leave a comment here and tell me what your fears are and why do you feel they are holding you back, and what could you do to overcome those fears. But talking to someone, could be me, could be a good friend, whatever, anyone you trust, and maybe those persons can also help you a little bit. If you are afraid of public speaking, maybe they can give you some pointers. If you are afraid of, or you have social anxiety, maybe they can come with you to those places where you feel very anxious and help you a little bit, give you a little bit of a support. It's always good. It's always good to have some support from people you trust. And again, I guess the most important thing I could say is go after it. Go after it. Really. There is nothing to lose. I mean, unless you're afraid of trying something that's illegal or that could harm someone, then don't do it. I'm not telling you to do that. Please don't do it. Don't say, Ed told me that I should try I should face my fears. No, that is not the message. But as long as you are not harming anyone, hurting anyone, and you know that it's the right thing to do for yourself, just do it. Just do it. Believe me, you can face your fears and you can win. Now, to end this video, I hope, first of all, I hope it was helpful. I hope at least one person will decide to take action on their fears after watching this video. If that's the case, I would be so happy and proud of myself. Yeah, but really, that's true. But why don't you tell me in the comments, like, what your fears are and what's holding you back? And it would be nice if you, as part of that comment, if you tell me, I'm gonna face my fears, because really, there is so much to win. Believe me. Okay. And right now I'm facing my fears recording this video once again, but baby steps and we'll get there for sure. So thank you for watching this video. See you soon.